want to welcome everyone to the 74th Annual Grand National Roadster Show. We're with Roy Brizio of Brizio Street Rods out of the Bay Area. He has a car in competition. It's this little 32 Ford two-door Phaeton, kind of an unusual treatment. Now, you're no stranger to the AMBR competition, and I know you've had AMBR winners, and so here you are this year. Tell me, what did you start with?
Well, this is one of Brookville's reproduction 32 two-door Phaeton bodies, and they were going to build 32 of them, and that was going to be it. I'm not quite sure what number they are on now, but we've actually built 2 of these. This is the second one, and this belongs to Beth Myers, and Ross Myers, her husband, is a big car collector, and we built Beth a 32 full fender tub a couple of years ago. And so she wanted to do something again, and we had another body, and so we said, let's do something way different. So, you know, we took this, and we didn't think anybody would ever do anything, take a 2-door tub and chop it and channel it and lengthen it and narrow it, and, you know, so it's been a fun project. And
what about the chassis? It looks channeled to me. You've channeled this over the frame. What's the chassis underneath? What do you got?
A 32 Ford, basically fully boxed frame. It's narrowed 2 inches in the front. And it's all torsion bar suspension. Steve Moll, a good friend of mine, set me up with all his torsion bars. And it's got a Winner's quick changer and small block Ford 5-speed. But the chassis is basically a 32 Ford, and then we channeled it 6 inches over the frame.
By the way, the wheel and tire combination on this it screams hot rod at me. So tell me about the wheels and tires.
These wheels came from ET wheels, and they're 18-inch in the rear, 7x18s, and 5.5 by 16s in the front. And they work with these Coker Excelsior tires perfectly.
Okay.
And if you're going to run the 18-inch wheels and you don't want the big wide look in the back, we've had great luck with this tire combination.
Okay. Now tell me a little something. That's got to be a Sid top. I mean,
oh yeah, Sid
it's
shavers.
Beautiful. Tell me about it.
The stainless steel top irons came from Brookville. They make these irons specifically for their body. And then Sid Shavers, who's done all our cars for the last 40 years, he did a heck of a job in this top. I mean, he took the bows and, changed them around, narrowed them, massaged them, laid the back of it forward, and he built a beautiful top.
It has a Sid window? Is it a fixed window?
Yeah, no, the window actually opens up. There's snaps on the inside, so if you want to drive it with the window open, it hinges up and you could snap it in.
Tell me about the posts and the windshield frame.
The windshield posts and frame are basically 32 Ford, chopped 3 inches, but the stanchions themselves are stock 32 Ford.
Okay, speaking of stanchions, let's talk about the headlights. How are they mounted and the shocks and whatnot?
Well, the front shock mounts and headlights are same combination. The headlight brackets basically bolt right to the shock mount. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of a flavor that we found that we like on a highboy, where they mount off the top of the rails.
What about, I see a little moon tank. Now, does it do anything? Is it functional?
No, the moon tank is non-functional.
Okay.
It's there for looks, and it screams hot rod.
Yep.
And we have a little flavor from the Tom McMullen Roadster going on, except Tom's gas tank was 5 gallons, and this one's only 3 gallons.
Well, you mentioned McMullen and the McMullen Roadster. That leads me right into the black with flames. So let's talk about the paint and let's talk about the flames.
Well, the Tom McMullen Roadster is an icon car, and I think anybody in hot rodding that's ever looked at a 32 Ford would have to go back to Tom McMullen's car and say this is the ideal hot rod that was ever built over the years. I mean, he drag raced it, he took it to Bonneville, everything he did with it, and we wanted to bring back a 60s flavor hot rod and use a little bit of the Tom McMullen look. And Art Hemsel did the flames for us, and I think he knocked it out of the park. It's exactly what we wanted, 60s flames, got the right colors. And
you mentioned the grill shell. What about the insert?
The insert was custom built by Dan Fink Grills.
Okay.
And he did that for us just recently.
Now, what's on the other side of the cowl? Tell me about the dashboard, the gauges, steering column, wheel.
If you look at the dashboard, it's chrome plated.
Okay.
And guys did that back in the 60s.
They did.
They kind of got out of it after that, and it's not ideal for an open car, have a chrome dash.
Right.
Because as you're driving it, you've got sun blasting in your face.
Sure.
So we did want to do a chrome dash, and we actually used all Stuart Warner gauges, had them all restored.
Now you say restored, so these were early Stuart Warner gauges?
These are original Stuart Warner gauges in this car.
Okay.
And we sent them to the gauge guy in Michigan, and he perfectly reproduced them, the dials and the screening on them, but they're the original gauges and cans.
Okay, tell me about the steering column and the wheel.
Early bell wheel, 14-inch bell wheel.
Okay.
We figured a bell wheel is the perfect hot rod wheel for that era.
Yeah.
And the steering column is a Limeworks column that's available.
And now, okay, we're in the interior. What am I looking at as far as the front and the rear seating? What's going on?
All the interior was custom built by Sid Shavers and his crew.
Yeah.
And when you channel these cars, as anybody knows with a channel car, you're losing leg room, you're losing, seat comfort. It's really difficult to do the channel cars and be able to be comfortable and drive down the road. So Sid completely built a new seat for it. We actually dropped the floorboard in this car, is dropped to the bottom of the frame rails.
Now in the back, do I see the gas tank hiding in there, or what do we got going on back there?
So in the rear, you actually got like a little luggage compartment if you were going to travel. You got a place to put your luggage in the rear. And then all the way in the back, we have the stainless steel fuel tank, and battery is back in the back there with the fuel pump, and it's all hidden behind there, but easy access to get to if we need to.
Okay, let's walk around. I want you to tell me about the engine and trans.
And the engine's actually a Jack Roush 427 small block Ford with a Borla fuel injection.
All right.
8-stack fuel injection.
Am I looking at a triple play there of Willwood master cylinders?
Yes, it
is. One clutch and 2 are brake?
It's got Willwood cylinders, the 2 are brake, so we can adjust the bias on those 2. And then we got a Willwood clutch master cylinder.
Tell me about the brakes going around. What do we have?
We're using the Alan Johnson front disc brake kit that's hidden behind the drums.
So inside we've got our Willwood equipment?
We got Willwood calipers inside and Willwood rotors, but actually encased in an Alan Johnson brake kit.
What about the length of these doors? Are they the Phaeton length?
When we got this body, after channeling it and raising the rear wheel wells, we started looking at the door length, and I decided to shorten the doors.
Shortened them.
And then lengthen the rear quarters. I thought the door was too long and came back too close to the rear wheel.
Okay.
And it just had this little space there, and it looked too short. Okay. And so I kept looking at it and playing with how much should we move it. And first I was going to go 4 inches, then I thought the door looked too short, so I decided at 2 inches. And I think we've got it where it looks correct. And if you notice the back of the body, if you've looked at any of the other 2-door tubs, the back of the body gets flattened out in the rear.
Yeah.
And after we did the first car, we looked at it and we all agreed if it had more like a 2-door sedan style rear,
it's got a shape
to it. Okay. It's got a curve, going both ways. And so we made the decision to do that, and I'm happy we did it because it looks more correct myself.
Now, who did the pinstriping on the car?
Eric Reyes did the pinstriping after Art Hempsel did the flames.
Okay, but the back panel has some freehand pinstriping on the back. I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah, we got the car done, and I kept walking around it, and I said, we've got to do something with the back panel. It's so big.
Too big, yeah.
And so I went back to Eric and said, we need to do something, some type of Von Dutch, Ed Roth striping.
Yeah.
Something to come up with match the flames and be that 60s theme, and Eric knocked it out. It's perfect.
Now, I noticed the exhaust pipe, so tell me a little bit about the exhaust system. What do you got going on for headers, exhaust pipe? What's happening?
We've got Sanderson headers that we start with, and we're using the Hush Power mufflers.
Are they 2.5 pipes?
2 1/4 inch pipe, all the way to the rear. The tailpipes are 2.5 inch.
Okay. And somewhere in between there's a transmission. What do we got going on?
We're using a Tremec 5-speed transmission, TKO 600.
Okay.
We've got QA1 adjustable shocks front and rear.
Okay.
And with the torsion bars, you really need to have an adjustable shock so you could dial the torsion in. Okay. And we've had great luck with their product.
Now, when you say dial the torsion, are you talking about ride or height or both?
Well, once we get a torsion bar that's right, and we've been able to work with Steve Moll on this, with it, you know, now that we've all got some experience running the torsion bars over the last few years and changing the bar sizes. But you gotta, once you get it to where it works really well, you gotta be able to control it. And we've had good luck with the adjustable shocks. It's the only way of dampening the ride.
Okay. Well, I mean, here we are at the 74th Grand National Roadster Show. You find yourself competing once more for the AMBR. Is it stressful?
It's very stressful.
Okay.
You know, whenever they say, hey, let's put that car in the AMBR and let's enter it, you know, and yes, it adds a lot of stress. And, you know, some of the other guys that we're showing here with are my dear friends, you know. We're very lucky. All these car builders are all great buddies, and you come here and, you know, we all have dinner together, and then, you know, then the next day it's all okay, we're back to the competition. But it's a friendly competition.
Good.
And we all want to do, you know, we all want everybody to do well. And,
sure.
And we're excited about the car we have here this year.
For all you readers of Modern Rodding Magazine, if Roy and Beth willing to let us photograph this car, we'd sure love to have it on the pages. So hopefully we can do that later on.
Absolutely, that would be fun. We'd love to see it in print.
Oh, that's great. So there you go, folks. One more in the competition for the AMBR award. And our thanks to Roy Brizio of Brizio Street Rods, and of course to the Meyer family for letting us take a walk around on their hot rod.